the entirety of the meeting. But outside of that, there wasn't too much sit-down conversation with any of the other competitors. So if I was to say that I didn't felt like I belonged, like I wasn't, like I just didn't fit in here yet, I would say it's there. That feeling was pretty much gone the second that the first event of the competition, the deadlift, as soon as that event started, that feeling of me not feeling like I belonged there was gone. It was completely gone.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
As soon as we started deadlifting, I knew in my head, I earned my spot here. I worked my ass off for this. I'm going to show everybody that I belong here.
Yeah.
And as soon as I want to say, as soon as I got, I think it was 8:15 or 8:05 was the second jump, I think. As soon as I got that, and I ripped it off the ground, I put it down, and then I walked back to the 10. As soon as I did that, I had guys like coming up to me, and I was going up to guys, and we were just bullshitting back and forth. Essentially, we were obviously Mark Felix. I went up to Mark Felix, and he was like, "Hey, that was a good lift." And then he gave me a pointer that I've actually tried to incorporate into my training about my hip drive, because if you watch me personally deadlift, I'm very fast and explosive off the ground, but as soon as it gets past my knees, that's where I'll start slowing down when it's a heavier lift. And he said that that's because of my hip drive. If I wanted to get a much stronger deadlift, then I need to work on this, and then I need to work on that.
You're not
and I really appreciate that, because he didn't need to take himself out of mentally being in the deadlift so that he could help me with my deadlift. He didn't need to do that, but he did, because that's how Strongman is. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Well,
I had Lawrence Saleh was pretty much after every successful deadlift that I had. He was standing towards the corner of the tent where we would walk in, and he would give me a fist on me and go, "Hey, that was a good lift, mate," or something like that. Like,
yeah,
that was pretty much as soon as the deadlift started. That's when I felt, I belong here. I'm not a nobody. I'm gonna show him.
You're not a poser.
Who I am. Yeah, I'm gonna show him that this wasn't given to me, that I earned it.
Right. Yeah. And I think that says a lot, even more so, about how the sport kind of operates, especially with the veterans. They get where people have started out. They get that people are younger coming in, and they're not so wrapped up with their competitiveness that they can't stop and give pointers. And it's not just a rare occurrence. I mean, I hear that happening, all across the board. That's another thing that makes the sport great. You talk about people wanting to see you succeed. When it comes down to it, you want to be the best, but
right.
Just seeing somebody that you, like you said, know that puts in the effort, it just speaks volumes. And the fact that that washed away, that feeling you had washed away, as quickly as the first event, shows that you get it. You were focused. It was time to get down to business and not worry about everything else, which I think some people spend too much time worrying about each event.
Right.
Okay, so you went out of Giants Live. What was your big takeaway from that day?
Pretty much. I ended up. There was a lot of elements in the competition that kind of cost me the higher placing that I was hoping for, that I thought I was capable of. There was just a couple and I'm pretty confident in saying that it just comes. It's not my strength, my size, or my athleticism. It's not any of that. That was the factor. I feel like I ended up placing 8th overall, and I feel like personally I got that placing because of my lack of experience. I made a lot of rookie mistakes. I wasn't familiar with a lot of the equipment there. Like the frame is a perfect example. I'm confident in saying that I was good enough at frame specifically to take first place. I'm very fast. I have a grip that's insane, 800 pounds. I was training with that. that's not an issue at all for me. The frame should have been a very, very strong event for me. But the handles of that frame ran all the way through it instead of just having two solid handles in the middle on both sides.
Yep.
So it threw in an extra element of, okay, you need to be able to pick it up, hold on to it, run with it as fast as you can, re-pick it, and then throw it across the finish line. You also need to worry the entire time about balance. And that was something that I didn't train for and I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah. And the one thing that I will say, I've seen those frames in action a few times. I've seen those yokes in action more than a few times.
Yep.
They are very different, and they are awkward. But like you said with that frame, I think the handles are a lot thinner on that frame than what they are on some of the others. But I've seen a lot of people over the years that have had a lot of trouble balancing those to where it looks like they're popping wheelies or they're trying to nosedive.
That was pretty much me right off the starting whistle.
Yeah.
I picked it up. I took like 3 or 4 steps and then it just nosedived.
Well, and I think it even threw Mark Felix a little bit, who's got an awesome freaking grip strength. I know he did well on that event, but the only person that I have ever seen pick those particular timbers up and run with them with no problem was Jerry Pritchett.
No, that's not surprising.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
World record frame.
Yeah. So, but everybody else that I've seen over the course of the years, they've kind of struggled with it one way, shape, or form. Okay. So that moved on from there. You were hoping to be able to go to World's Strongest Man this year.
I was hoping to,
and to be able to do that, if you were able to do that with only 2 competitions under your belt, that would be just totally amazing. And not that you're totally amazing, I'm not going to say you're not totally amazing now because you didn't do it, but I'm just saying on that plane.
You know what? This podcast is over.
Yeah, that's it. I'm running. Well, somebody's got to be a diva. Come on. But you walked away from that. You got experience there. You got experience competing with guys on a pro level, guys who have pro cards. Do you have a pro card?
No.
See, then what kind of person are you if you don't have a pro card? You should have a pro. Everybody needs a pro card. Pro card is the answer to all your problems, Evan.
I ain't shit, right?
If you had a pro card, that is as good as a what do they call that? Like your Diners Club card, Do they even still have Diners Clubs, or is that totally dating me? Wow. Okay. Anyway,
I don't know. I think that's an old person thing.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah. Wow. Okay. There's my MCL cafeteria. But you walked away from there. You had the experience. You were able to compete with guys who have been at Worlds, who have won bigger competitions as well. And then you go to the official games in December, which was, about a 7-month layover from competing, because you didn't do anything in between that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you went into the games, and what were your thoughts and takeaways going out of that one, or even the day of competing, or the days of, because that was 3 days, dear Lord.
It was an interesting combination of thoughts and emotions that were going through my mind. And again, I worked my ass off to make sure I was prepared for it. I trained really, really hard. I was completely dedicated to it. Going into day one, the deadlift ladder, I was confident that I was going to be able to get 3, and honestly, I was going to go for the 4th because I felt really strong in my deadlift. My deadlift was something that I was just hammering. I want a big deadlift. I want to be able to pull something that's eye-catching off the ground.
Right.
I knew I wasn't the strongest deadlifter in there, but I don't know. Maybe it was just the rookie mindset of I've been working on it really hard, so therefore it's there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe it was just that mindset of it. But I ended up only being able to pull 2 bars. I had the 815 bar, which was the 3rd one, literally at my hips, above my quads, and I just could not push my hips through to get the entire lift, and I ended up not getting that lift, and that was heartbreaking for me when that first happened, because I worked so hard on the deadlift, and 815 is something that I can rip off the ground, not hitch, really fast me, like 815 is not heavy for me.
Yeah.
But for some reason, my hips were just not there. Like they just were just shouting, "No, we're not locking this out."
Well, and do you step back and think about it now? As you know, did you hit a wall, or was it mental, or And I don't like blaming things on equipment.
It was just like apparently my hips and lower back were just tired, I guess, and it is what it is.
Well,
I mean, there's nothing I can do about it now, but
there isn't, and that's the thing that's the thing about competing in this sport, that it's disheartening when you don't get a lift that you are fully capable of doing on any given training day. But it all goes back to is your training numbers don't matter.
Yeah, also true.
And on a day of competition, I've seen some of the best guys get put down because of just something, and it's something that you sometimes don't anticipate happening or you can't control. So I get it, because that was the first event, and you want to come out of the gates, with the doors busting wide open, and to be able to get 2 out of the 4 lifts. I know that was disheartening, and you go home you go back to the room that night, and you're still letting it kind of eat at you a little bit, but you're trying not to, because you've still got 2 more days of competing, and you damn well better be prepared, because you're going to go to that third day.
Right.
I had a good friend of mine. He was a Masters competitor, and I know he's listening to this podcast because he's a loyal listener, and he listens to everything because he just absolutely loves the sound of my voice. He's a Masters, he's a Masters competitor, and he was not expecting to make it into the third day, and he did.
Nice.
And he could have done so much better, Darren, but he didn't prepare a lot for that last day of events. And he still did pretty good. I mean, he still did well. I'm proud of his efforts and proud of what he did. But, you always go into a competition expecting to make it to the finals.
Yeah.
And to not prepare your mindset, prepare your training that way, I just feel you're setting yourself up for a big disappointment if you don't train to do the entire competition. I see too many people in this, and I get off my soapbox, I see too many people that this is my weakest event, so I'm going to train it like crazy, and I'm going to get so damn good at it, it's going to be my strongest event for that competition. Well, guess what happens? You become really, really good at that lift, and you may or may not hit it the day of competition, but then all your other freaking lifts suck.
Right.
So...
Right.
Train to your strengths on some of those days, because it's a points game. It's not a who's going to win every event game. So
right, exactly.
But anyway, but I mean, you guys seem to really enjoy the games.
Absolutely.
I think everybody was there. So even with the snowstorm, it was just
I want to go on record too. Coming from Pennsylvania, we did not really see why all the news stations were shutting everything down, and everybody was like rushing to grocery stores and cleaning off the shelves and all of that. I really did not see why everybody was practically in a state of emergency. The roads weren't that bad.
Well, and
snow wasn't that bad.
And coming from living in Detroit now for over a year, and living in Indiana for most of my life, I agree with you. I've dealt with ice, mass amounts of snow, and I still get out and venture around because I know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
Down there, and I grew up with family in the South. It was explained to me like this: is they don't invest in the salt trucks and salt equipment because they don't get that type of weather very often. So it's in their best interest just to shut everything down, which totally irritated me, because when we left Monday morning, all I wanted was Cracker Barrel. And we had to drive out of the Raleigh metro area to find a place that was open, and there was a Cracker Barrel open, and they were even closing early. And I'm like,
wow.
It's Monday, and the storm's almost over, and you guys are closing early. And they had a limited menu, so that broke my heart, because I have my favorite... it's a smorgasbord that they bring to me at my plate, my table. And I'm like, can I at least get some of this? They're like, well, we have a limited menu today, but I'll ask. And I'm like, well, you have ham on